Let's cook and taste Japan with SavvySensei right out of your own home.
Hi, my name is Mikio Tanabe. Now, I am going to show you how to make our signature dish, Yakiton, or spare ribs with a bone. Let's get started. Let's start cutting the meat. First, you need a cutting board and a kitchen knife. These are nippers you use to cut and trim the bones of spare ribs. And prepare a towel. It's useful on many occasions. And the meat. This is pork farmed in Kyushu. It's a shoulder part called shoulder ribs. You don't find this part of the pig in other countries so often. In Japan, when you talk about spare ribs, it's mainly about shoulder ribs. The first thing to do is to cut the meat like this in line with the bone, one by one, to take it apart. There's a thin membrane covering the surface, so peel it off using this towel. It's useful so that your hands don't slip. Peeling it off makes it a little easier for the meat to mix with the sauce. Then, cut the bones and adjust the length. This one is a bit too long, so first cut it around the middle. You can snip it off relatively easy with these nippers. It depends on how much meat it has, but even if the bone is long, if there is not much meat on it, cutting it can result in a little meat on this part. So, if it is like this, just leave it as it is. This one is a bit too long, isn't it? So it looks like the volume is too high. So make a nick here and cut it. You don't need so much strength. Even a woman can easily snip it, so don't worry. Now we are done with it. Okay, next I'm going to open up the spare ribs that I've just divided into parts. This is because in our restaurant, we don't heat or grill the spare ribs in a block. One of the characteristics of our style is that the meat is mixed with the sauce and grilled over charcoal all at once. So we don't heat it in advance by boiling or steaming like regular spare ribs. Rather, the meat is put into the sauce and then grilled, which means that it will be half grilled if it is in a block like this. Therefore, it is necessary to open the meat properly. I'd like to try showing you that now. First, make a slit down the middle with the bone facing down. Make sure the knife touches the bone and make a slit in the middle. This area between the bone and the meat is difficult to cook, so cut a good slit to ensure that the meat is cooked well. If you open it like this beforehand, the meat is still a little thick, ending up half cooked. So put the meat with the bone side up and open it again by slowly pulling the knife horizontally through the thick part. This is the end of the process. If you cut the meat in a shape like this, it will be well cooked and juicy inside when cooked over charcoal all at once. The meat divided into parts doesn't always have evenly distributed meat. The meat I did now was a little thick, so I cut it open on both sides. Meat, however, is not always the same every time. My experience has taught me that this type of meat, which is long and not very fleshy, you don't necessarily need to open it on both sides like this, but open it to one side as I'm about to do. In that case, horizontally hold the knife and open it along the bone. Turn it over again, this time with the bone facing up, and cut the thick part of the meat where it is a little difficult to cook. The point is to hold the knife horizontally. If you hold the knife vertically, it will accidentally slip and cut unwanted meat, causing it to come off the bone. You don't have to try to open it in one go, but open it carefully, little by little, in several steps. Use the fingers of the hand not holding the knife to check the thickness of the meat. If you think it's a little thick or difficult to cook as this thickness, open it up like this with a knife. Then you've got the meat shaped like this. Earlier, I opened it on both sides like this. This time, however, since it was a little difficult to do so, I opened it to one side only like this. You may also choose this way. Now we are going to put the meat we've just cut into the sauce just before grilling. We use this size of meat in our restaurant. 1, 2, 3. This is about 300 grams. We serve this as a single portion. For a single serving like this, add about 500 milliliters of the sauce. This is a garlic crusher. Use about a clove of garlic per 500 milliliters. Crush the garlic with this. Crush it and take out the insides. And sesame oil to add flavor. Add 1 tablespoon of sesame oil. And 1, 2, 3 pieces of meat we've cut earlier. Put these into the sauce. I've just put these in 500 milliliters of sauce now, but 500 milliliters can do for 3 servings or 9 pieces of meat. And mix. Make sure that the sauce gets fully into the space between the bone and the meat. No need to fully rub it in though. Soak and mix them thoroughly. If it is for 2 servings, you need to use 6 pieces of meat. If it is for 3 servings, you need 9 pieces, and similarly mix them. What differentiates us from others is that we don't soak and leave them. Our style is to grill them all at once right after mixing them. Okay, now we're going to grill the Yakiton spare ribs with a bone. Before that, you need to brush the grill with a wire brush like this. It is important to sweep out the soot. Now, let's start grilling. This is 1 serving, 3 pieces of meat I mixed with the sauce earlier. This is the bone side, and this is the open side. Grill the meat with the bone side down at first. Bone side down, okay? You should turn it over frequently while grilling so that you don't burn it. The charcoal grill has more heat at the back. The heat is lower in the front. For the parts that are still red, take them a little further back and grill them. As the sauce has permeated, it makes a good smell. Don't turn it over until well browned and cooked through to the bone side. This one is not done yet. This one is getting cooked a little bit. Now, turn it over. This one looks like it has cooked as well, so flip it over. It's still red around here, so keep cooking more thoroughly. Stand it up sometimes to fully cook this area. Some meat will finish cooking quicker than others. In that case, move it a little to the front as the heat there is weaker, as I said earlier. It's almost cooked already. If you're not sure whether it's cooked or not, use a knife like this. for example, to make a small slit. The slit shows it's still slightly red, so we'll cook it some more. For example, you can use scissors like these. Cutting with the scissors, you will find that this area is well cooked. Now, I'm making a cut on this one. It's a little red, but it'll be cooked in no time. As for the part I mentioned earlier, the place where I made the slit is now well cooked. Finally, dip it into the sauce again and grill. We do this to add a savory flavor. Now we've made one serving. Let's place them on a plate. Now one serving is ready.